everybody, what's up? Welcome to my channel, Simply Michelle, with yours truly, Michelle here. If you are new and stopping by for the first time, I hope that you would decide to subscribe and become a part of the tribe. And if you are returning, thank you so much for the support. And if you are returning and you have not subscribed, now would be a good time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload my next video. All right, y'all. So let's hop into it. This interview with De'Ara Taylor and Cam Newton, it was really cute. I loved it. The vibe and the dynamic between De'Ara and Cam gave Big Brother Little Sister vibes to me. That's just my opinion on that. Um, I completely loved the vibe of that interview. I liked how they gave each other a chance to talk. If it was something that they did not understand, they spoke in a way so that they both could understand what they were saying to each other. And I also like the fact that even though Cam is older than De'Ara, he took away some gems from her, because in the beginning of the interview, she was definitely dropping some gems and you could see that Cam was taking notes. All right. So without further ado, let's hop into this. So I'm going to play a short clip that I got from the interview, some takeaways that I wanted to focus on for this video. And then after we watch that clip, I am going to come back with my commentary. All right. Let's take a look.
It's like when you are in a relationship, you should never be in competition with your partner, right?
Right.
And when you feel as though you got to be in competition with them, or you feel as though they not supportive because of X, Y, and Z, envy, jealousy, oh, you doing this or you doing that, but when it's supposed to be like a partnership, that's where things kind of...
Did you feel
the
it?
man ego. You a man. Do you have an ego?
Hello. That's a superpower. That's the man's superpower.
It can be.
Yeah, no, for sure. It can be.
It can be.
But it could be a line that's drawn that's also said to be narcissism.
Him. You didn't say it. You said it. I did not. But yeah,
but
100%.
You don't want a bland man, do you?
No, you don't.
Okay, so you want some type of, okay.
Exactly, but you ain't supposed to be in competition with your woman.
No, that's not what you said. You asked me, did I have an ego?
Okay, right. True.
I'm not in competition with mine. As a matter of fact, you know what's funny? I'm very active these days on Snapchat, thanks to supporting, Vertical Team with...
I love Snapchat. Hey, Snapchat, if you're watching.
For sure. You and me both. My lady is on Snapchat, too. And I told her this, and I swear on everything I love, this was when we was coming back from, I just had a ceremony at Auburn. And I was like, oh, babe, I'm about to catch you. And she said, what you mean? She said, I'm about to catch you. I said, I'm about to get as many followers on Snapchat as you. She said, oh, baby, I'm not in competition with you. Congratulations. Oh! I said, damn. Nip that, clean in the bud.
Clean in the bud.
Like, but I was joking with her, you know what I'm saying, with that, but I didn't, and she knew
but
that
you
I was
was
playing.
joking, right? But sometimes people don't be joking.
No, definitely. It was a joke, but I'm a competitive person too.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying? Like, she's from West Palm. She goes for everybody Florida, right?
Okay.
I'm very big in philanthropy, and anytime any of our kids that play on my All-Star team come from Florida, she's like, oh yeah, he from Florida. It's something in that Florida water that you just like. But that's our thing.
Yeah.
But as far as competition, I don't think that that's a healthy recipe in any type of relationship.
No,
not
at
in no
all.
friendship, not in businessship, not in relationship, intimacy or not. It's just not healthy. Now, you could be competitive.
Yes,
but
friendly
if that
competition.
leads friendly competition, but if that leads to enviousness and jealousy, that's something that you have to draw the line and say, no, that's not right. Now, for you, how much in that dynamic, right? Because oftentimes when you see relationships, the common thing is what a person feels they are entitled to. How much do or did you feel you were entitled to when things went left?
I would just say the portion that was rightfully mine. Now, I wouldn't say I was stupid for this. Now I would say I was stupid, but I think you live and you learn. And I don't think in some situations it can be better, it can be different. But like the opportunities and the brand deals and the money that I made that was strictly for me
Like
and the
what-
work that I've done, like promotions, skincare companies, Fashion Over Fashion, anything of the sort, like what I did personally, that still went into the joint business.
Yeah.
So now
It still went in the pot.
it still went in the pot.
Right.
Now, at the time, I didn't care because like we build it together and what's mine is yours
For
and what's
sure.
yours is mine. That's how I looked at it. But obviously when we ain't together no more, we splitting, I'ma need my shit, period. I'ma need what's mine, what's mine. It ain't no splitting this even, baby. This is mine. Now listen, since it was that, possibly. But that's just what it was then. And I just look like I don't have to necessarily do what I did in a relationship now that we're not together no more. Like you don't get the same respect, you don't get the same me. So yeah. What's your outlook on it?
Because I don't agree with you with something.
Well, what you don't agree with?
In any relationship that I've been a part of, that I've witnessed, that I have observed, it's never what's mine is yours. As a man, what's mine is ours. As a woman, what yours is what yours is.
Well, that could be because you a man.
Hello. So when you say what's mine is
That's
ours,
how I looked at it though. But
I understand.
and
but
nobody said that. No.
in
What's
any
yours is
relationship
yours.
that I have been in any relationship that I have observed, it has always been what's mine
That's
is
real.
ours as a man, and whatever the woman makes, that's hers. And for a woman, it's kind of like, yeah, that's the same thing too. Because if things does go astray, now there's some, examples out in the media nowadays that, and we're not gonna get into it, but some men are looking for compensation from the other half. Well, in most cases, the compensation typically comes from the man. Rightfully so, though.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But when you in that type of dynamic where you guys are working together, that's where it kind of can get a little sticky. Icky.
Right.
Now, is that what led to you suing him?
How you know about that?
Baby. Baby girl.
Who? Like, listen, my lawyer already got on my ass once. So, but yeah, I would say I just feel like you become too lenient, too nice, and people play on it.
So one of the things that stood out to me was when De'Ara was speaking about her and Ken's relationship dynamic and there being competition within the relationship dynamic. Um, as Cam mentioned, and so did De'Ara, a man should not be in competition with his woman. However, there are men out there who have issues with a woman being successful. They have issues with a woman, let's say, getting more attention than they do. They have their own insecurities that they have to work through. But they cover their insecurities up with their ego. As Cam was talking about, well, De'Ara asked Cam, did he have an ego? And he was like, yeah, that's a man's superpower. And a lot of the times that's why a man will operate from their ego, because a lot of the times it's their insecurities taking over. A lot of the times it's their insecurities taking over, but a healthy relationship dynamic is not competitive because both people understand that you are in a relationship and that relationship is a partnership. You are a team, you're on the same team. So if your woman is getting deals and she's getting bank, that's a win for the both of you. If your man is getting deals, he's getting promotions, he's getting bank, he's getting recognition for different things, that should be a win for both people in the relationship. One person should not be looking at the other person out of jealousy, out of envy, and trying to compete with their partner to see who can outdo the other person, because you're missing the whole purpose of being in a relationship and being in a partnership at that point. However, I do want to touch bases on the fact that Ken and De'Ara they started on YouTube when they were teenagers. So they were very young and they were pretty much learning as they went along. They had no prior life experience to relationships and, having to split um monetary things and assets and all of that stuff that you learn about over time as you get older, as you grow, as you get into relationships, and you got all of these things that's tied up, and you got to you know work out the legalities, and you got to you know work out how this is going to get split, how that's going to get split up, things like that. So they were both learning as they went along. I do feel like Ken, because there, and at one point of the interview, and I'm not gonna spill all of the interview, but these are some of the highlights, minus the little video clip that I got. But some of the highlights, I do remember her saying that when they started to, get the checks, get the YouTube checks rolling in, and they started getting more notoriety, they didn't prepare for that because they didn't know what to expect, and rightfully so. I mean, they were kids when they started out, so they're not going to be at that level of maturity where they're actually sitting down saying to each other, okay, what if we blow up? Yeah, if we blow up and we get really big, how are we going to split this? How are we going to split that? Which way is that going to go? Like, where is that going to go? How is that going to, you know and she touches base on that, and so does Kim in the interview. But um, competition within a relationship, no, no. And I do think that the fact that they were young, they were learning as they went along, the fame and the money, they were in the midst of it. And when you're in the thick of it, sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees. You just can't when you're in the thick of it. It's like you start off with, you may start off with this vision, you may start off with this goal, but you reach a level that you probably weren't even expecting to reach, that you weren't even expecting to get to. And somewhere along those lines, either one person or both people lose sight of the goal. They lose sight of the bigger picture. Um, and just from my perspective, from my point of view, I do feel like that's what happened. Um, Now, the more access you get, so it's like the more money, the more fame, notoriety, you get access to this stuff, the ego has a tendency to inflate even more. because it's like, oh, I got the money now. It's like, oh, I got the resources now. Oh, I got the notoriety now. Like, people know me, people know who I am. So you kind of start feeling yourself a little bit. I feel like that's what happened with Ken. I feel like that's what happened with Ken. I feel like that happened with the both of them, because I mean, it was new for them. It was new. But with Ken, he allowed, you know, the fact that he had the money and the fame. And a lot of times, sometimes you got men would do that. Women would do that too, but more so men. It's like you start, you know, I'm not really touching on the cheating and stuff like that. She does talk about that in the interview. So if you haven't seen it, I'm not gonna touch on that. But yeah, competition within a relationship, nah. And so she said there was a lot of competition within the relationship between her and Ken. And she didn't like it, which rightfully so, because it shouldn't be that way. Um Another thing that she touched on that I wanted to talk about was she was speaking about how they had their joint account, because Cam did bring up her suing Ken, for half of her for her half of the money that she earned from different brand deals that she had. And she didn't really touch too much on that, because she did say that her attorney advised her not to speak on that. So when Cam did bring that up, she made sure she deterred away from that really quickly. But she did say that the brand deals that she had gotten, by herself, makeup, fashion, things like that. She said she put that money in the joint account. Um, she said she regrets doing that now as an adult, but at the time when she was putting that money from her brand deals into the joint account, she didn't think anything of it, because her and Ken were in a relationship, and her thought process was, what's his is mine, what's mine is his. And you're in a relationship, and rightfully so. you know you're like, we're in a relationship, we're a team, this is the both of ours. So she had that thought process. I love the way Cam came in, and he basically broke down to Diara how the dynamic should really be in a relationship between a man and a woman. I love the way he did that little breakdown for her. It was like a big brother talking to a little sister. He was telling her, like, that anytime a woman, uh, you know, makes any money, or she brings anything in, that's hers. That's hers. That doesn't go into the joint account. He was basically letting her know that traditionally the man is the provider. The man is the provider. The man is the one who takes care of all of that. Anything extra, like anything that the woman is doing extra, where she's making money or whatever, that's hers to do what she wants to do with it. And he's absolutely right. But we live in a day and age now where a lot of a lot of things are mixed up. A lot of relationship roles and dynamics have been twisted, mixed up, because everybody has their own opinion and viewpoints of how they feel things should look. And there's just a lot of influence from people's thoughts and opinions. The media has played a huge part in shaping the mindsets of people, and how things should go within a relationship dynamic. et cetera, et cetera. And it definitely has an impact on today's society, most definitely. But I love the way, he swooped in and he, schooled her and he was like, hey, you do know that, a relationship dynamic between a man and a woman, it shouldn't be that way. And I like the response that De'Ara gave Cam. She was like, well, maybe that's because you a man. And see, that's the difference between a mature man versus a man child versus a boy. Okay? That's the difference. That's the difference. Um yeah. One more thing that Cam touched on that really stood out. Cam touched on it very briefly. Another thing that I took away from this interview was when he was talking about how you have men nowadays who are looking for the women to provide when naturally the man's job is to provide. He touched on it very briefly, and I know why he touched on it very briefly because that's one of those topics where you could get a lot of people heated. That's one of those topics that would stir up a huge debate, but that's one of those topics that's so true, and I know he wanted to refrain from ruffling any feathers, probably from, viewers and subscribers. But we live in a time now where people are just really confused. The gender roles, the switch in the gender roles is just crazy. Especially when you're speaking about the relationship dynamic between a man and a woman. Um, so no, everything does not have to be, tradition based, but some things should, still kind of be, a certain way because it just brings balance. It brings that necessary balance to that, to the relationship. And naturally the man's job is to provide, and that's not to say that a woman cannot go out and make money and have her own business and do all of that. No, that's not what that's saying. What Cam is saying in so many words is that you have men who are just sitting around relying on the women to go out and make the money and bring the money back while they are sitting around doing nothing, and they are benefiting off of the woman going out of the house making the money, and they're being taken care of. It's like the gender roles have been switched, and this is not normal. It is not. I don't care what anybody says. We are just living in a time where there is so much confusion and people are lost. A lot of people are lost. Um, but yeah, and you have men sitting around like they don't want to pay for dinner, they don't want to pay for meals. And I'm not talking about the women who go on social media and go on this rant and make these outlandish requests and say things like, if you take me to Red Lobster, you're a brokey, and if you take me to Cheesecake Factory, I can't date you. I'm not talking about that foolishness. No, that is not what I'm talking about. um it's just so much has changed, but I just loved the vibe and the dynamic between Kim and De'Ara. The interview was really nice. It was fresh. De'Ara was dropping some gems for Kim, in the beginning of the interview. Like I said earlier, and Cam was taking notes, and I love the way Cam was able to, scoop in and school De'Ara on some things, and you could tell she was taking mental notes as well. Um, the interview was really nice. I really love to see the growth and the maturity on De'Ara and how far she has come from being a YouTuber to a social media influencer to just a business woman. Like, she is doing her thing, and it's so beautiful to see. I'm so proud of her. And what were y'all takeaways? Hop down in the comments and let me know if you saw the interview or not. And if you did see the interview, what did you think about it? What were some of your takeaways? Um, how did you feel the interview went and the relationship dynamic between Cam and De'Ara? I thought it was really cute. It was nice. Like I said, it gave me big brother, little sister vibes. Um, and it was just nice to see her growth over the years. And the woman that she has, come to be. Absolutely beautiful, 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 beautiful. So once again, the key takeaways that I got from this clip right here in this interview. And if you are new to my channel, one of the things that I do here is we dissect um, certain situations, relationships. We talk about different topics, but the whole purpose is basically what is the lesson here. The whole purpose is the lesson. Okay. And that's so we can stay on top of our stuff. All right. But so being in competition with your partner is a no-go, not healthy. Um, and I'm glad that this is something that she has learned. This is going to help her in the long run for future relationships. Um, I also appreciated the fact once again that, Kim let her know how the dynamic should be between a man and a woman when it comes to splitting money and things of that nature. In this gender role switch nowadays that's going on, with men is just crazy and out of control. But yeah, those were some of the takeaways that I got from it. And like I said, hop down in the comments. Let me know what you thought about this interview. What were your takeaways from it? And thank you so much for watching. I do hope that you all would enjoy the rest of your day. Stay blessed. And until next time, peace.